Hello everyone, my name is Hemu and today's we are here for the Palo Alto Firewall demo. Now, before starting that particular demo, let me tell you one thing. So we are starting Palo Alto plus F5 LTM combo batch from 24th of Feb. Okay, we are starting from 24th of Feb and it's a weekends batch, guys. Just remember, it's a weekends batch. So your classes will happen on Saturday and on Sunday. And timing of your classes is starting from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Okay, so there is around 3.5 hours of session where we will also provide you the around gap of 30 minutes. Okay, or we will take a one Q&A of 30 minutes. So right, there is a class around 3 hours. Okay, now as I have mentioned, it's a combo batch. So first we will basically start your Palo Alto. Once Palo Alto will complete, we will start your F5 LTM. Now this Palo Alto training is around 8 weekends long. Means total of 16 classes will be there and this training will go around 48 hours. Your F5 training is around 6 weekends. So there are total of 12 classes and your F5 training will go around 36 hours. Okay, so this is the basic detail. Now, let me go through some of the details. Guys, you will get the access of recorded session through my video portal. So this is my video portal. If you will go into this course section, here you can able to find all the course details. Everything is available. If somebody wants to purchase the recorded session as well, so you can able to purchase from here. Okay. Apart from that, we do have a YouTube channel. So the first channel name is Sianets. And if you will check out particular YouTube channel, link is youtube.com/@Hemu Sir. And if you will search on YouTube Hemu Sir, you can able to get this particular channel. And in this channel, you can able to find lots of videos with regards to Palo Alto, with regards to Panorama, with regards to AWS, with regards to VPN, with regards to Cisco ASA, Checkpoint, F5. There are lots of videos are there, which you can basically check out and you can able to see how we used to deliver the trainings. Apart from this YouTube channel, we do have a one more YouTube channel and the second YouTube channel name is Skilled Inspirational. And if you will basically go inside this particular channel, you can able to find lots of videos with regards to F5 LTM, GTM, ASM, FortiGate firewall, Python for network automation, AWS, SAML. There are lots of videos are available in this particular channel as well. Okay, so these are the two YouTube channels which we are having. Apart from these channels, we do have a website, Sianets.com. So it is taking some time in loading, right? This is our website where you can able to find the details and all. But majorly you can always check out our video portal and here you will get lots of videos and all. Okay. Now, this is our some of our basic details. Now let me tell you what are the things I'm going to cover in this particular training. Okay. So as I have mentioned, this particular Palo Alto training is around 45 plus hours. You will get the lifetime interview support. You will get the documents after this training. You will get the lifetime recorded videos access through the portal. We will help you building the lab in your laptop and your laptop needed around 16 GB of RAM and processor like i3, i5, i7. they will work. If you have a SSD, which is well and good. Okay. And apart from that, let's say you don't have a good laptop, then we will help you building the similar type of lab over the Google Cloud platform. And guys, Google Cloud platform provide you the 90 days free lab, which you can utilize till 90 days. And once this period is over, you can destroy that lab, create new Gmail account, and basically again create a GCP account, and you will get around 24,000 INR as a free credit on GCP. And after that, again, you can basically create your lab, and again your lab is valid for 90 days. So this is how you can able to use this particular Google platform for building your labs. As I have mentioned, it's a weekends batch, and your classes will happen in the morning time, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. During the session, you can also able to discuss any type of practical issues if you are facing. Let's say you are getting some issue in your production environment. During the training, we can also able to discuss these issues, and you will also get the mock interview support. Let's suppose you have an interview, right? So what you can do, you have to inform around 3 days before to us, and what we will do, we will take a mock interview with you, and we will tell you what these are the topic where you have to focus, these are the topic which you have to prepare, right? All these things we will guide you. Now let me go through with the course content, guys, because when I will tell you the course content, you can able to get the clear picture what I am covering in this particular Palo Alto Firewall training. Okay, let's start with the course content. Okay, so in this particular training, what I will do, I will start my classes with the platforms and architecture. In the platforms, we will discuss what are the hardware model offered by the Palo Alto Firewall, like what are the physical appliance offered by the Palo Alto Firewall, right? We will discuss what are the virtual devices available, like what are the VM series devices offered by the Palo Alto Firewall, like what are the SFCN devices or the container based virtual devices offered by the Palo Alto Firewall. All these things I'm going to discuss. Okay. Once this part will complete, I'll move towards the single pass architecture where I will explain you the architecture of your Palo Alto Firewall. And guys, let me tell you one thing, if you will go for any type of interview, when you will attend any type of interview, they will ask one question like, can you explain the architecture of Palo Alto Firewall? Or they will ask, what is the SP3 architecture of Palo Alto? Like what is single pass software and parallel processing architecture of Palo Alto Firewall, right? These things they will ask. And in your today's demo also, I will go through with the architecture. Okay, so I will explain you the advanced level overview. I will give the advanced level or overview with regards to the SP3 architecture, how each and every component is connected at the hardware level and how they are going to process the packets, everything. Okay. Once this part will complete, I'll move towards the flow logic or the life of a packet inside the Palo Alto Firewall or Palo Alto Firewall packet flow. And guys, this particular packet flow will be go around 2 hours of session where I will discuss each and every component of packet flow, like what is ingress stage, what is fast path, what is slow path, right? What is app ID, what is content ID, what is like your forwarding stage, everything we are going to discuss in detail. Once this part will complete, I'll move towards the initial configuration. Let's suppose you have received a brand new firewall device. Now I will tell you how you can take the access of this device, means initial access of the device, and what are the configuration we have to perform on this device, means how we can able to configure the management related settings, like how we can configure the IP address in your management port, how we can configure the DNS settings, NTP settings, all these things I'm going to explain here. Once we got the connectivity with the firewall, then after that, the most important part is we have to activate the license in your Palo Alto Firewall. We have to perform the software updates, right? All these things I'm going to discuss, how we can basically register our device with the Palo Alto support portal and how we can activate the license using the auth code, and then how we can basically fetch this license detail from the support portal, or how we can basically download the auth keys or the license keys, and later on we can upload these keys inside your Palo Alto firewall, right? So all these things I'm going to discuss. I will tell you how we can basically upgrade this device, like how we can set configure the scheduled software updates, right? Your dynamic updates, everything. When this part will complete, I will explain the account administration, how we can able to create the account for different users. Let's suppose you have a team, you have a L1 engineers, L2 engineers, L3 engineers, designers, and all, right? Then how you can able to create the account, and you can create the access role for all these users according to, and how you can basically restrict the access to L1 engineers, to L2 engineers, to L3 engineers, and all, right? All these things we will going to discuss. I will also explain you how we can able to basically integrate our Palo Alto firewall with the Radius server, because let's suppose in your on-prem infrastructure you have a Cisco WISE, or maybe you are having, let's suppose, Aruba ClearPass, right? For the access management, right? These are the next solution. Now, how you can basically integrate these devices with your Palo Alto firewall, how you can basically integrate the Active Directory with your Palo Alto firewall, and now whatever the user database you are having in these particular ICE, ClearPass, or AD, how we can utilize that user database for the logging purpose. So everything I'm going to discuss here. Once this part will complete, I'll move further. And here I will also cover how we can create the admin roles, like roles for L1 engineers, L2 engineers, for SOC engineers, and all, right? Once this part will complete, and after it I move towards how we can make the interface configuration with the help of CLI, with the help of graphical user interface, right? How we can able to configure these data interfaces. I'm talking about these interfaces. Let me just show you here. This is my firewall. So I will basically explain you how we can configure these interfaces with the IP address and all, right? With the help of CLI and GUI. Both ways I am going to cover. Okay. Like so. Network, interfaces, Ethernet. Then I will tell you how we can able to configure these particular settings. Okay. Run set CLI config. Let me just outperform and set. Let me just show you the result in set format, like how we can able to use the set command to do the configuration, to the modification, and everything, right? So I'm going to cover all these things, because in production environment, let's suppose you have 100+ sites, right? And you are doing this particular configuration every week. You have to build one site, right? Then you generally, the best way to create that type of CLI template and use that template for the configuration, because you only needs to modify the IP address, otherwise all the settings remain same, right? So how we can able to create that type of config template using the CLI? So I will cover all these things. Okay. Now I will tell you what is the concept of security zones we have in your Palo Alto firewall, like what is inside zone, outside zone, or untrust zone, or trust zone, or DMZ zone, right? How we can basically allow the communication between the zones, how we can restrict the communication like within the zone, or intra-zone communication, or inter-zone communication, everything I'm going to cover, right? Then once this part complete, I will explain you what is the how we can deploy Palo Alto firewall in layer 2. Means let's suppose you have a 3-tier architecture of an application, means you have a web servers, right? You have a app servers, and you have a database servers. Then how we can basically restrict the communication between these particular servers, or we can basically deploy our Palo Alto firewall here, PA firewall in layer 2 mode, and we can configure these particular web tier, app tier, and DB tier in different VLANs, and we can restrict the communication between them, right? So how we can do the layer 2 deployment. Now, in most of the time, guys, around 90% lefts, we are going to perform with the help of layer 3 mode. And this is the mode which is used a lot in the production environment. Like most of the customers is using Palo Alto Firewall with layer 3 only. Okay. I will also discuss what is the virtual wire mode we are having. Let's suppose Let's suppose you are having one existing infrastructure, right? Now in that existing infrastructure you want to introduce the Palo Alto Firewall, but you are not you don't want to change your IP address schemes, whatever you are having, right? Or you don't want to change any type of routing protocol which you are running in your between your core router and the core switch, right? And you want to introduce your Palo Alto Firewall between core router and core switch, right? Then how we can use that particular feature of virtual wire deployment inside your Palo Alto Firewall, right? Or bump in the wire or the transparent deployment, right? So we will deploy this firewall in this mode, and I will cover everything with regards to that. Then what is the tap mode deployment, or what is the promiscuous mode deployment? How we can deploy the firewall in tap mode or promiscuous mode? Everything I'm going to cover. I will also tell you how we can able to configure the sub interfaces in your Palo Alto Firewall. How we can able to configure the aggregate interfaces, which is your ether channel or your port channel in your Palo Alto Firewall. What is the concept of DSCP server? What is the DSCP client, or what is the DSCP relay agent? How we can make your Palo Alto Firewall as a DSCP server? How we can basically get the IP address in the Palo Alto Firewall interfaces like Ethernet one by one from any of the DSCP server, right? So all these settings I'm going to discuss. Once this part will complete, I'll move towards the virtual wire. I will explain you what is the virtual wire concept. To configure any type of routing in your Palo Alto firewall, we have to basically go with the virtual router configuration. Let's suppose in some environment you will see multiple virtual router. Maybe you have created one virtual router and where you just using that virtual router for the BGP routing. Let's suppose between your Palo Alto firewall and your edge routers, you are using BGP. But between your Palo Alto firewall and your inside router, you are using OSPF, right? Then how we can create two virtual routers? So one will take care of the BGP related stuff, and the another one will take care of the OSPF routing related things, right? Then how we can basically allow the communication between this particular multiple virtual routers, right? So we will see this particular multi VR setup with practical use case. Okay, now when this part will complete, so means once your deployment part is completed, right? How to configure the IP address, all these things, routing, everything, right? What I move towards the security and the net policies. Now here I will tell you how we can able to configure the security policy in your firewall for allowing the traffic and for denying the traffic, right? How we can able to configure the net rules, like what is source net, what is destination net, like how we can able to configure the Uternet, right? All these things we are going to discuss, and I will also discuss around 3 use cases with regards to destination net, right? All these particular net practicals we are going to perform. In your security policy, I will explain you how we can configure security policies, how we can do the administration of your security rules, right? How we can go with the rule optimization in your security policy, right? What is the best practice or best way to configure your security policy? I will also explain how you can able to do the same thing using CLI as well, right? In net, source net, destination net, Uternet, all type of use cases with regards to DNet. I will also cover here static net, dynamic net, your port address translation, all these type of nets we will see with regards to the practicals. Okay. Once this part will complete, I will move towards the app ID, which is the core feature of your Palo Alto Firewall. App ID means how we can able to configure or how we can able to allow or deny the traffic on the basis of applications, right? Let's suppose you have decided to allow the traffic for Facebook, right? But on this Facebook, what I want to block the Facebook chat, I want to block the Facebook post. How I can able to achieve that particular task, how I can able to allow the Facebook, how I can able to block the Facebook chat and Facebook post, but all the other Facebook application will be allowed through the firewall, right? How we can able to allow all the risk level 5 application, all the risky application, all the risk level 4 application, right? How we can able to block all the media related media streaming, like your video streaming application like Netflix, Amazon Prime, right? All these particular things in your Palo Alto Firewall with the help of application group, application filters, right? I will also give you the advanced level overview of your app ID, right? How Palo Alto Firewall going to perform the app ID for TCP based traffic, for UDP based traffic, right? Like, because in TCP, first they will go through with the TCP three-way handshake, right? Once three-way handshake will complete, and after that only they used to exchange the app related data. Then how your firewall going to process this TCP based packets, UDP based packet and all, right? Once app ID will complete, and here also I will tell you how we can able to create the custom app, guys. There's a feature of custom app. Let's suppose inside your organization has created couple of internal application, and these application only used by your company, plus the same application is also used by couple of your customers, right? Now if you want to create the custom app for your internal application, how we can able to do that? So I will create these custom apps, and I will basically do these particular practicals. I will also tell you what is the concept of application override, how we can able to configure, how we can able to create these application override policies in your Palo Alto Firewall, right? So all these things I'm going to cover. Once this app ID will complete, I'll move towards the content ID, because see, content ID is the main feature of your Palo Alto Firewall, right? When we say like how to protect our servers from viruses, how to protect our users from spywares, right? How we can basically protect from the vulnerability exploitation and all, right? How to configure URL filtering, how we can perform the file blocking, how we can basically enable the wildfire feature so we can able to protect our resources from the real time attacks, right? All all these particular features comes under the content ID. Means in this particular feature, how we can basically Palo Alto Firewall read the layer 7 data from the packet, and basically it will provide the protection from antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability, URL filtering, extra dynamic list, file blocking, wildfire, how we can able to create the security profiles, right? What is wildfire? All these particular things we are going to discuss with regards to practicals. Like content ID, I used to teach around in 3 classes, where I will basically try to download one of the malicious file, right? I will try to download one of the file which have some type of spyware, and we will see when we have not configured this antivirus protection profile, then my firewall is not able to detect. But with this antivirus profile, it is able to block that traffic, right? And vulnerability protection, what I will do, I will try to exploit the vulnerabilities on my internal servers, right? I have couple of Windows servers on my LAN environment. If you will see my topology here, let me just tell you. If you will see here, here I have a lots of servers. All these are the vulnerable servers. All these are the vulnerable machines, right? You can see here where I'm running multiple vulnerabilities and all, right. I will try to exploit these vulnerabilities, and we will see if I will configure the vulnerability protection profile, how we can able to protect from them, right? So all these things I'm going to cover with practicals, right? Then URL filtering, I will discuss how we can able to allow the traffic on the basis of URLs, right? Everything I will discuss how we can able to configure the external dynamic list and all, right? Once this content ID will complete, I'll move towards the zone protection and DOS protection. Guys, you have heard the name of some attacks, like we have a TCP SYN flood attack. We have a UDP flood attack, right? We have a ICMP flood attack, or like other IP flood attack, or we have a host sweep attack, or I can say IP spoofing attack, right? How we can able to launch all these type of attacks. So I will basically launch such type of attacks, and we will see how we can able to enable this John protection profile and DOS protection in your Palo Alto firewall to protect from these type of attacks. So here I will run these attacks with the help of my Kali Linux machine. Here, if you will see, I have these two Kali Linux machine, and I will launch all these type of attacks using these particular machines, and we will see how firewall is basically protecting us from such type of attacks, right? When this part will complete, nowadays guys, if you know, nowadays guys, tell me one thing, write on the chat if I'm correct. Guys, we have a HTTP website and we have a HTTPS website, right? Tell me one thing, nowadays if you have seen, most of the website is using HTTPS, right? Even though if you will try to access a malicious website like torrent or any type of adult website who is dealing with some type of adult content, right? Or the website who is dealing with some type of illegal content, right? All these website is hosted over the HTTPS, right? Now, in HTTPS, guys, when my PC will make a connection with any of the HTTPS website, what will happen? Tell me one thing, guys, which type of tunnels it will create? Let's suppose we have a one web server here, that web server running on TCP 443. Now, which type of tunnel they will create generally between this PC and this particular website? Nobody know, guys? You don't know what type of tunnel they used to create? Yes, I got the correct answer. No, Akash, it's not IPsec. They will create the SSL tunnel. Okay. What they used to create a SSL tunnel here. Okay, now when they will use to create a SSL tunnel, which means whatever data they are exchanging between this PC and this web server, everything is encrypted, right? Now, because that data is encrypted, and let's suppose we have a firewall. Let's suppose in between I have put my firewall here. Let's suppose this is my firewall and this is the internet here. Now, because I have put my firewall here, now see, if this PC and this web server, they will communicate using SSL or using HTTPS. What happens? My firewall not able to read any type of content because layer 7 data is protected by the TLS, right? Protected by the TLS protocol, which is transport layer security. Everything is encrypted here, right? So what we have to do, we have to enable the SSL decryption in your Palo Alto firewall, and I will explain you how we can able to configure the SSL decryption, how we can able to create the certificate, like what is root CA, what is intermediate CA, right? And what is the digital certificate or the end user certificate. So I'm going to cover all these particular hierarchy in detail. And I will also give you the idea how we can able to configure the SSL forward proxy or SSL outbound decryption, how we can able to configure SSL inbound decryption, right? And even though guys, nowadays, most of the attack is happening using the SSH protocol. What they used to do generally, guys, generally, let's suppose I have a one PC here, this is my firewall, and we have one internet here, and let's suppose there is a one server over the internet. Let's suppose that server is running service on TCP 22, and let's suppose through this firewall we are allowed the communication on TCP port 22. So what used to happen, now this PC, what it will do, it will basically create, it will basically just do the SSH on this particular server, and it will basically make the SSH tunnel. Now, what used to happen? Nowadays, there's a concept of SSH tunneling. Means what they will do, let's suppose through this firewall, you have blocked the torrent traffic. So what he can do now, this PC can able to access the torrent because he will send all the data inside this SSH tunnel. How we can able to protect our infrastructure from the SSL tunneling type of attack. They can use the proxy chains and all for the same thing. Okay. And I'm going to cover everything here. So we will discuss what is SSH decryption and how we can able to configure that particular feature in your Palo Alto firewall. Once this part will complete, I move towards the user ID, because user ID is the most important feature of your Palo Alto firewall, right? Nowadays, guys, if you have observed, most of the organization, in most of the organizations, what used to happen, whatever laptop or computers you are having, right? These particular laptop and computer, they used to receive the IP address from DSCP. Yes or no? It is correct, right? They used to receive the IP address from DSCP server. And if they are receiving the IP address from DSCP server, which means what used to happen, IP address of this PC is not fixed. Maybe today he is having this IP address 10.1.1.10. Maybe tomorrow he will get this IP address 10.2.2.10. Maybe next day he will get this IP address 10.1.1.100, right? Which means right nowadays it's very difficult to write the security policies on the basis of IP address, because IP address is not fixed for the users, right? But tell me one thing, guys, whatever the your user ID you are having, your user ID is fixed, right? So the thing is what, and instead of writing the security policy on the basis of IP address, we can write the policies on the basis of user ID, right? So we will discuss how we can able to basically configure the user ID based policies, right? How we can do the active directory integration with the Palo Alto firewall, how we can achieve user to IP mapping, what is user ID agent, right? And also here I will tell you, I will basically create one HR group where I will put HR users. I will create one sales group where I will put couple of sales users. I will create one engineering group where I will put couple of engineering users from the engineering department, right? And I will configure different type of policies for all these users, and we will test our policy is working fine or not, right? So these are the things which I will discuss with regards to user ID. When this part will complete, I'll move towards your IPsec VPN. In IPsec site-to-site VPN, I will give you the advanced level exchange overview of your exchange process, like how phase one exchange happens, how phase two exchange happens, right? What is main mode, what is quick mode, how they will exchange all these 6 messages in main mode, and how they will exchange the 3 messages in quick mode, right? What is aggressive mode, everything I'm going to discuss. Apart from that, if you will see, I have basically written here around 13 use cases of IPsec VPNs, right? Where I will show you the configuration of IPsec VPN, right? Between two Palo Alto firewall when both firewalls have the static IP and I'm using the pre-shared key. Static public IP, right? Then second use key, we will configure the Palo Alto IPsec site-to-site VPN between two Palo Alto firewall when both device having static IP, but this time they are using certificate-based authentication. Means instead of pre-shared key, they will use certificate. Then IPsec site-to-site VPN between Palo Alto devices having overlapping subnet, means both and having the overlapping subnets, right? IPsec site-to-site VPN between two Palo Alto devices where one peer having the dynamic IP address, means from one end IP address is from the DSCP, but at one end, another end, we have a fixed IP address, right? Then IPsec site-to-site VPN between Palo devices when one peer is behind the net gateway. Then we will discuss dual IPsec site-to-site VPN between dual ISP from single firewall with the remote firewall, means when we have a two ISP connections. So we can able to configure primary and secondary, right? And for that we will use failover using tunnel monitoring, failover using a static route path monitoring, or failover using the virtual router and policy based forwarding. Then IPsec site-to-site VPN between Palo Alto and Cisco SA. IPsec site-to-site VPN between Palo Alto and Cisco SA, but this time Palo Alto Firewall have the IP address from DSCP, means IP address is not fixed. Then IPsec site-to-site VPN, how we can able to configure the route-based VPN using OSPF, route-based VPN using BGP, How we can able to configure this, how an spoke type of IPsec VPN using OSP protocol or the BGP protocol, right? So these are the use cases which I am going to cover with regards to IPsec. Once this part is completed, I'll move towards the Palo Alto Firewall Global Protect. And guys, this particular Global Protect is a most important feature of your Palo Alto Firewall. I will go through with the connection flow. If you know the connection flow of Global Protect, you can able to troubleshoot the issues. Without knowing the connection flow, you cannot able to troubleshoot the Palo Alto related issues, right? Then Global Protect connection method. How we can, then we will, I will explain what is user logon method, what is on demand, then pre-logon, then on demand, pre-logon, then user logon, right? All these particular four method I'm going to discuss with regards to your Global Protect. Then I will explain what is management and reporting, what is syslog server, how we can configure NetFlow, log type, dashboard, basic logging, reporting, and all. Guys, I will not cover anything with regards to Panorama in this training because for Panorama I used to take separate classes. Okay, just remember this part. Once this part will complete, I'll move towards the active passive HA, which means high availability concept, right? Configuration of active passive HA, active passive, active high availability, configuration of active HA, right? And in active HA, we will perform these three labs: floating IP HA lab, R float share HA lab, and mixed mode HA lab, right? And after that, guys, I will also take your troubleshooting webinar of 4 hours where I will go through with the how we can able to create a packet filter, packet captures, flow basic, and TCP dump command in your Palo Alto Firewall. So these are the things which I am going to cover with regards to your Palo Alto Firewall. Just remember. Now, remember one more thing, guys, as I have mentioned. See, let's suppose I am discussing the IPsec VPN, right? So when I will discuss this IPsec VPN, I will explain you how basically IPsec is working inside your Palo Alto Firewall while showing the log of IKE MGR daemon, IKE Manager daemon. When I will discuss your Global Protect, that time I will show you how we can able to see the log of Web App 3 service or the REST Manager daemon, right? Multiple daemons log we will verify. I will explain you how we can able to read the log of authentication daemon like authd, how we can able to read the log of user ID daemon when we will discuss user identification and all, right? If you have that type of knowledge at the daemons level, you can able to troubleshoot the issues easily in your Palo Alto Firewall. Okay, so this is the overall course content which I am going to cover. And if you want to see what type of daemons is available, let me just show you. Let me just give you one small example here. So system software status. See, all these are the daemons which is running in your Palo Alto Firewall. And if I'll give you the basic overview of these daemons, let's take an example of IPsec VPN, right? In IPsec VPN, the very first daemon is your IKE Manager daemon, IKE MGR. The second daemon which involve in your IPsec process is Key MGR, Key Manager. The third daemon which involve in your IPsec process is CryptoD. Then fourth daemon which involve in your IPsec VPN is TunnelD. Then fifth daemon which involve in your IPsec process is your MP relay. Then how I will explain you how we can able to basically read the log 5 of these particular daemons, and if any of that daemon is not running properly in your Palo Alto 5, I will tell you how we can able to run, right? See, like we have a MP relay daemon. You can able to see we have a IKE MGR daemon. We have a Key MGR daemon, Key Manager, right? So we are going to discuss everything, like we have a authd for authentication related. You will able to see somewhere here TunnelD as well. This TunnelD daemon, right? So all these daemons log file I will explain you, and I will tell you how we can able to see the logs at the live, or how we can basically validate the previous logs by using the commands and all. Okay. Now, so this is the course content, guys. Now let me just go through with one of the topic for today, SP3 architecture. Okay, so here I will tell you, I will explain you what is the SP3 architecture inside your Palo Alto Firewall. So let me tell you one thing, guys. See, this is just a demo session, so I will not explain you this architecture in depth because I needed minimum 90 minutes of time to compare everything with regards to SP3. But here I will give you glimpse of it and the main feature of your SP3. Okay, now let me start. So guys, in SP3, if somebody is asking like what is SP3 or what is the architecture of Palo Alto Firewall, in simple word, what you have to do, you have to start with SP3 is a combination of two things. The first thing is single pass software, and the second thing is parallel processing hardware. Means SP3, it is a combination of the software, which software means which is your PAN OS, because the operating system in your Palo Alto Firewall is the PAN OS, and the hardware means what are the hardware component we are having inside your Palo Alto Firewall, means your data plane, your management plane, right? Now in data plane, what are the component we are having? Like we have a networking plane, we have a security plane, we have a content plane, right? Networking plane is known as a Liger chip. We have a Liger chip here, right? Or this particular processor is known as a network processor. Then security processor is known as a, here we have a Octeon chip, right? At the content we have a Jaguar chip. Then how these chips have a connectivity with each other and how they will communicate and how they will handle all these packets. So this is all about the SP3 architecture, right? Now, so see, as I mentioned, SP3 architecture is your single pass software and parallel processing hardware. So let me first tell you the parallel processing hardware architecture of your Palo Alto Firewall. So if you will see in this diagram, Palo Alto architecture is divided into two parts. We have a control plane, or I can say this plane is known as management plane, and we have a data plane. Guys, tell me one thing. One simple question I'm having here with all of you. Tell me one thing. Let's suppose I have this type of setup. I have my PC here, PC1. I have a Palo Alto firewall here, and I have a one of the server, let's suppose here. This PC have 10.1.1.10 IP address, and let's suppose this is inside, and let's suppose this is outside. That server have IP address 151.7.10. Now, let's suppose this server is hosting the service on TCP port 80. So what it will do now, this PC will start communication with this particular server. Let's say this is your PC1. Now guys, what is the first packet this particular PC will send? Let if he wants to open this server by typing the IP address in the web browser. What is the first packet here? I got the correct answer. First packet is TCP SYN, right? Now TCP SYN processed by the firewall, and he will basically forward this request over the server. Now what is the second packet which is reply with the server? TCP SYN plus ACK. And after that they will exchange the ACK packet. Right? Once this particular these three packet they will exchange. Now what they will do finally, from here this PC will send the HTTP GET request. Fourth one, right? Now guys, what I will do, see, when this particular PC has initiated some type of traffic towards this particular Palo Alto firewall, right? Tell me one thing. This particular traffic, when Palo Alto receives, so which plane this packet will handle? It will handle by the management plane, or it is handled by the data plane? What you will think? So guys, just remember one thing. When Palo Alto Firewall receives any traffic from any users, generally will handle by the data plane. Just remember. Okay. So now Palo Alto have generally two planes. We have a management plane and we have a data plane. And this data plane is basically designed for processing the user's traffic or traffic which is coming from users or coming from servers. Okay. Palo Alto Firewall has a management plane, and this management plane is designed for handling the management related traffic. Tell me one thing, guys. See, let's suppose I have this Palo Alto Firewall here. Generally, this Palo Alto Firewall have a dedicated management port, right? It has a dedicated console port. Now, let's suppose there is a one user here who had just logged into this Palo Alto Firewall using the SSH. Let's suppose that user is logged into this Palo Alto Firewall via HTTPS and he is doing some type of configuration, right? And if this type of traffic received by the Palo Alto Firewall, that traffic is handled by the management plane. So in your Palo Alto Firewall, what they have done, they have divided its hardware into two planes, management plane and data plane. And apart from that, guys, this management plane has its own dedicated task to do. Means this management plane is only responsible for handling the configuration related thing. Whenever you will perform any type of config changes, this particular thing is handled by the management plane. Means configuration, logging, means when your Palo Alto generate any type of logs, it is generated by the management plane. Configuration management, logging, and if you want to generate any type of reports. So these are the three tasks generally which is performed by the management plane. Whenever you will log in into this firewall using SSH or using HTTPS and you are making some type of changes, all this type of traffic is handled by the management plane. Just remember. Now, apart from this management plane, Palo Alto also have the data plane. And Palo Alto data plane is divided into three another planes. We have a networking processor, we have a security processor, and we have a content engine. Now, this networking processor is responsible for your networking related task like your L2. In L2, what we have? We have a ARP lookup, right? We have a MAC lookup. This particular networking processor is also responsible for L3 task, which includes your routing related stuff. So this network processor has a dedicated task. This security processor also have a dedicated task, means it will basically do the security policy evaluation, net policy evaluation, right? And your content engine is responsible for doing the app identification. Your content identification means this content engine is responsible for handling the layer 7 data in your packet. And guys, let me tell you one thing. These are the dedicated hardware chip we are having inside your Palo Alto Firewall. So Palo Alto Firewall divided its data plane into three another planes. And these planes have a dedicated RAM, dedicated CPU, and dedicated hard disk. They have a dedicated resources as well. So what they can able to do, they can able to perform the tasks parallelly. Means they don't have any type of resource level dependency because they have a dedicated resources. Dedicated resources we have at network processor, dedicated resources available at security processor, and dedicated resources available at content engine. And these engines now they can able to work independently. That is known as parallel processing hardware because my Palo Alto Firewall doing the parallel processing, each and every engine working in parallel way. They don't have any type of resource level dependency. That is the parallel processing architecture of your Palo Alto Firewall. One more benefit you will get, see, one more benefit you will get here, see, because your management plane and data plane is segregated, right? So if there is any issue you are facing with regards to data plane, what you can do, you don't need to reboot the entire Palo Alto box. What you can just reboot this particular data plane only. You don't need to restart the entire management plane or the entire box. If there is any issue with the management plane, you can restart that particular process or that particular daemon at management plane level. Because guys, as I have mentioned, management plane is responsible for config management, reporting and logging. Apart from that, management plane is also responsible for the daemons management, because your Palo Alto operating system, which is PanOS, it is a customized version of BSD Linux. On top of BSD Linux, they have installed the Pan application. So the kernel of your Palo Alto Firewall is based on the Linux environment. And guys, this Linux environment have multiple daemons, and all these particular daemons is managed by the management plane. Just remember. Okay, now if you will see here, guys, as I have mentioned, inside your Palo Alto firewall, whatever the management plane we are have, see, we have a management plane and we have a data plane. Your management plane is responsible for configuration management, logging and reporting. Apart from that, it will also responsible for the daemons management. Like most of the daemons inside your Palo Alto firewall is is a part of management plane only. And apart from that, guys, your management plane have a dedicated CPU, dedicated RAM, and dedicated SSD. And also it has a dedicated management port, dedicated console port. And apart from that, it also have a dedicated HA1 port, high availability one port, is also a part of your management plane. So what management provides? Configuration management, logging and reporting, right? Function on a separate processor, RAM and hard drive. So that is the reason. See, if there, see, let's suppose somebody have launched a DDoS attack in your data plane. With that DDoS attack, your management plane will not impact because it has a dedicated resources. You can able to log in into your firewall and you can able to make the necessary changes. Okay, so that is also one more benefit you will get with this type of architecture. Now, this data plane is further divided into networking processor. Network processor is responsible for flow control, MAC lookup, route lookup, quality of service, and net related tasks. And guys, this network processor is also known as a session offloader. Just remember, it is a session offloader. This session offloader is a big topic and I'm not going to cover here. And after that, we have a security processor, and that security processor is responsible for your user ID, URL, policy match, SSL and IPsec related tasks, decompression related tasks and all, right. And we have signature match processor, which is responsible for exploits, viruses, spywares, command and control, right. Means your most of the tasks with regards to app ID and content ID is handled by the signature match processor. Okay. See, if you have seen like why they have mentioned this app ID or URL match. See, because the Palo Alto Firewall will also create the app ID cache. Okay, so if I will get the application detail from the cache, then my security processor will enforce the policies. Okay, if if we don't have a application detail into the app ID cache, then all the task is done by the security processor, signature match processor. This here we have a Jaguar chip, or on this particular chip we have a DFA and AHO. These are the two algorithms which are running, and these algorithms will take the help of your Jaguar chip, CPU and RAM, and they will basically do all the content ID related tasks. Just remember. Okay. Now, Now, if you will see this particular diagram here, in this diagram, we have a network processor, security processor, pattern match processor, right? Now, again, we have a network processor. Now, let me just tell you how all these components is connected together, okay? So if you will see this particular diagram, not that one, let me just explain you with the Palo Alto 500 box. In Palo Alto 500 box, if you will see what we have a switch fabric where we have a Petra chip, and after that we have a network processor where we have a Tiger chip, and after that we have a here this is your security processor where we have a Octeon chip. This particular area is known as Octeon chip. And guys, here we have a DP0, this is data plane 0, DP1 and DP2. So it has a 3 Octeon chip, and these 3 chips will basically do the security related task. It will act as a security processor because most of the task is handled by the security processor, just remember. And then we have a signature match processor where we have a Jaguar chip, and we have in high-end boxes we have a 2 Jaguar chip, and Jaguar chip is responsible for your app ID related task and your content ID related task. Okay, now let me also draw one more diagram here, and you will basically get the entire idea how all these components is connected together. Okay, now let's suppose I have a Palo Alto firewall. I have a PC1 here. This PC have IP address which is 10.1.1.10. I have a Palo Alto firewall here, and here I have a server. This is Ethernet 1 by 1. This is Ethernet 1 by 2. This is my outside zone, and this is my inside zone. And this server, let's suppose running the service on TCP port 443, and it's a web server. And having IP address which is 151.7.100. Okay, now guys, what used to happen generally in your Palo Alto firewall, it has an architecture like this. Generally in this Palo Alto firewall, what? First we have a interface stack. Here we have all the interfaces of your Palo Alto firewall is connected like this. Let's suppose these are the interface card I am having in my Palo Alto firewall. These are the network module or the interface module, right? The interface start with Ethernet 1 by 1, 1 by 2, Ethernet 1 by 3, Ethernet 1 by 4, Ethernet 1 by 5, Ethernet 1 by 6, Ethernet 1 by 7. Then we have Ethernet 1 by, let me just go here, Ethernet 1 by 8, then 1 by 9, 1 by 10, Ethernet 1 by 11, Ethernet 1 by 12. So let's suppose these are the 12 interfaces I'm having. Okay, now these Ethernet 1 by 1 till Ethernet 8, let's suppose these are the copper inputs. These are the copper ports, and starting with Ethernet 1 by 9 till 11, these are the SFP plus ports. Means these are the fiber ports. These are the fiber ports I'm having on my Palo Alto Firewall. So what used to happen, guys, these interfaces board or these interfaces module, what they used to have a direct connectivity with one of the chip called Marvel chip. All your copper port, they have a connectivity with the chip called Marvel chip. And all your SFP plus port, they have a direct connectivity with one of the chip called Petra chip. They have a connectivity like this, means all your interfaces is connected in this particular form with the Marvel chip, and all these fiber interface have a connectivity with the Petra chip. Now this Marvel or Petra chip, they have a further connectivity. Let me just go like this. They have a further connectivity with one more chip called Tiger chip in high-end boxes. If you are using low-end boxes, then the chip name is Liger. And this particular chip is known as network processor, or I can say session offloader. Or this particular chip is a FPGA, field programmable gateway array. Okay, and this Marvel chip has a further connectivity with this Liger, and this Petra have a connectivity with this Liger and Tiger chip. And guys, these chips, they have a connectivity using the joy links. These particular chips has a connectivity using the joy links. These are the high speed fiber links, means they are connected with the, I think, 20 Gbps per second speed they will get. Okay, these are the high speed links. Now this Liger and Tiger chip, it has a connectivity with one more chip called Octeon chip. Octeon chip. This Octeon chip is also known as DP-CPU, data plane CPU. Okay, or I can say security processor. This Liger and this Octeon chip also have a connectivity using the same type of joy links. And after that, this particular Octeon chip, it has a further connectivity with one more chip called Jaguar chip. So this is how the Palo Alto Firewall internal component is connected with each other. Now, let me tell you one thing. See, if you know the packet flow of your Palo Alto Firewall, right? In the packet flow of your Palo Alto Firewall, we have a ingress stage, we have a flow lookup, then the third thing we have a silo path. Silo path is also known as a session setup state. Let me mention session setup stage, right? Fourth one is fast path. Then fifth one is app ID. Then sixth one is content ID. And seventh one is your forwarding stage. Now, guys, out of these particular 7 stages, see, all the task which is like your ingress processing, ingress stage, your flow lookup, your silo path, your fast path related task is done by the Octeon chip. So main task is done by this chip, and this is the chip which is known as data plane CPU in actual. And your app ID related task and content ID related task is done by the Jaguar chip. Again, this forwarding related task is done by this particular chip only. Now see, if this is the chip who is doing most of the task, then what is the use of this Liger or Tiger chip, this network processor? So network, this is a session offloader, guys. It will only process the packet which is offloaded by this particular. So it will only process the session which are offloaded by the Octeon chip. Means Octeon chip will send one message to network processor. These are the session which you only needs to handle. So it will only handle the offloaded session. And once any session is offloaded, the ingress stage, flow lookup, slow path, fast path, and forwarding related task is done by the network processor. Just remember, means network processor can able to perform the traffic on the basis of layer 3, like it can able to process the packet from layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4. These are the packets which it can able to process. Means it can able to do the ARP lookup, MAC lookup, your route related things, like your net related things, that you can able to perform the net translation and all, right? But if there is any specific task like app ID or content ID is needed, then this is the chip, which is Jaguar chip, which is going to perform. And one more thing, remember here, see, in Jaguar chip we have a two algorithm, which is AHO and DFA. These are the two algorithm. What it will do, they will run into this Jaguar chip, and they will basically do the app ID and content ID related task. So DFA will perform the app ID related task, and AHO will perform the content ID related task. And nowadays this AHO algorithm is replaced by the PScan. This is the latest algorithm which is used by the Palo Alto devices. Okay, so this is how Palo Alto firewall architecture looks like. Okay, now if I'll say actual parallel processing, so guys, just remember one thing: the actual parallel processing happens on high-end boxes like Palo Alto 5200 series, 5000 series, 7000 series, 5400 series, right? And I think nowadays we have a 7400 series. These are the some high-end boxes who will basically do the actual parallel processing. Why? Because these high-end boxes, they have a three data plane: DP0, DP1, and DP2. And let's suppose if we have received the three packets from one machine, maybe first packet processing is happening here, second packet is processed by this data plane CPU, maybe third packet is processed by this data plane CPU. And now you can see all these particular processors, all these packets get processed at the same time. So this is the actual implementation of parallel processing hardware inside your Palo Alto firewall. Okay, now if you have a low end boxes, right, in this diagram, let me just go back. Let's say if you just have a setup like this. In this setup, what used to happen, you can think this parallel processing is like this. Let's suppose we have received three packets: packet number 1, packet number 2, and packet number 3. Maybe what happened, your first packet is here, second packet is here, and third packet is here, and all these three engines doing the packet processing parallelly. So this is the parallel processing hardware of your Palo Alto firewall, just remember. Now let me just give you the idea about the so like we have understood the packet parallel processing hardware. Now let me just tell you what is single pass software. So first of all, let me just tell you guys one thing: your single pass software is only applicable at content engine, means at Jaguar chip. It will basically, this is the chip who will basically do the single pass software processing. So what used to happen generally, let me just tell you. See, in this content ID includes your antivirus protection, your anti-spyware protection, your vulnerability protection, your data protection, your file protection, your wildfire protection, right? And at the content engine, we have a URL filtering as well, right? These are the main features offered by the content engine. So what used to happen generally? See, in your Jaguar chip, let's suppose, let me just take an example of this type of wheel here. See, this is your Jaguar chip. Okay. In this Jaguar chip, here we have a packets stored at these particular memory locations. These are the memory location where that packet is stored. Now, in this Jaguar chip, it is running all the signature of antivirus. Let's suppose antivirus signature is here, anti-spyware signature is here, vulnerability protection related signature is here, data filtering related signature here, file related signatures here, and URL filtering related signature here. Let's suppose wildfire related signatures here. So what it will do when when your packet is reached at Jaguar chip, so generally at Jaguar chip only layer 7 information from your packet is reached, just remember. And that particular packet, that particular layer 7 information is stored here into these memory locations. So what they will do generally, all these particular engines or these particular signature database, they will basically load the packet at the same time. Just in one go, this packet is loaded and we will get the results. What we will get the results means all this particular processing is happening just in one go from the single place, right? That is known as a single pass software architecture of your Palo Alto Firewall. Now, why Palo Alto Firewall to do this type of processing? Because see, if you know Cisco ASA, right? If somebody has worked with the Cisco ASA, in Cisco ASA, the engine who will basically do the inspection is known as a Lena. It is running the Lena code. And if you know on Cisco ASA, it can also able to perform the IPS related task, right? So IPS later, what they have done, they have added the snort engine. On top of this Lena code, they have basically added the snort code. Now, if you want to use a URL filtering feature with Cisco ASA, then on top of snort, they have added the URL filtering engine. So means what happens, your packet will repeat here, means first it will go inside the Lena, then it will go inside the snort, then snort will process, then it will go again into the URL filtering. But in Palo Alto Firewall, because they have built their operating system or their code from scratch, they have not added any extra code from third party companies, right? So that is the reason they can able to perform the single pass processing for all these layer 7 features. Okay, that is the single pass architecture of your Palo Alto Firewall. So that is, guys, SP3 architecture of your Palo Alto Firewall. I'm not going into that much depth because there are a hell lot of things. Okay, so I will not go in that much depth for today. Let me just see if I have anything. Let me just decrease the size here a little bit. Because to understand all the architecture and everything, we have to know lots of things. Even though here also in this particular diagram there is a lots of things, because this is the diagram followed by each and every packet, right? Now when you will join these classes, I will tell you how each and every packet is processed, how it is moving forward, right? Which chip will process, what are the tasks it will perform according to packet flow, right? So all these things I am going to cover in the live sessions, guys. Okay, so that's it with regards to today's demo. Now, let me tell you one more last time. This particular training, we are starting from 24th of Feb. It's a weekends batch. And we are starting this Palo Alto plus F5 LTM. And fees for Palo Alto plus F5 LTM is 12,000. INR for Indian students. If there is any international student, they have to pay 200 USD. And if somebody only interested for Palo Alto, then they have to pay 7,000. And for international student, 100 USD. Okay, and it's a, as I mentioned, it's a weekends batch, and timing for this classes is 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So 3 hours of class for Palo Alto and 3 hours of class for F5 LTM. Okay, so that's it, guys, for this particular demo. If somebody is interested, you can take the screens of these particular numbers. The first number belongs to me, which is 9019232915. You can able to call on this number. You can ask your doubts if you have any queries. I also have a WhatsApp. You can also ping me on WhatsApp if you want. We do have a one more number. This number belongs to Bidit sir, so you can able to call on that number as well for F5 related queries and all. Okay, so that's it, guys, for today's session. Now it's time for Q&A. So let me just give you the mute permission so you can able to ask any questions if you have.